Hello everyone, I am Johnson. Today, let's learn how to make various inputs. An input is an element that allows users to enter and edit text-based information. It typically appears as a rectangular box on a user interface where users can type in alphanumeric characters, such as letters, numbers, and symbols. Text fields are commonly used for various purposes, such as capturing names, addresses, email addresses, passwords, search queries, and more. They can be single-line or multi-line, depending on the expected length of the input. Now let's create a prototype. First, drag in a label and change the text to default input. Then drag in a text field and adjust its style. Group the label and text field. Duplicate it. Change the label text to input with placeholder. Adjust the input's width. Enter intercompany name in the hint text. Copy the group. Change the label text to input with value. Delete the hint text. Change the input type to number. Modify the input text. Duplicate the group. Change the label text to read-only input. Modify the input text. Then right-click and select Read Only. Duplicate the group. Change the text to Disabled Input. Modify the input text. Then add disabled styles to the label and input. Right-click the label and select Disabled. Right-click the input, deselect Read Only, and select Disabled. Preview the prototype. Now let's enter text in the input. You can see that the read-only and disabled inputs cannot be edited. Duplicate the page. Rename it to Types. Delete all elements except the first group. Change the label text to Text Input. Modify the hint text to enter text. Duplicate the group. Change the label to Number Input. Change the input type to number. Enter a number. Duplicate the group. Change the label to Password Input. Change the input type to Password. After entering text, you can see that the text becomes ciphertext. Duplicate the first group. Then change the input type to Email. Modify the hint text to Email Address. Duplicate the group. Change the label text to telephone input. Modify the hint text to phone number. Preview the prototype. Enter text in various inputs. You can see that the text changes according to the input type. Duplicate the page. Rename it to Label Placement. Delete all elements except the first group. Change the label text to Default Label. Duplicate the group. Change the label to Fixed Label and adjust the input's width. Duplicate the group. Change the text to Stacked Label and move the input below the label. Then adjust the input's left padding value. Duplicate the group. Change the label text to Floating Label. Then change the input's fill color to transparent. Name the label Floating Label. Add a got focus interaction to the input. Add a condition. If the input's text length is 0, move the floating label's Y value by -16. Add a linear animation of 100 milliseconds. Set the floating label's text as rich text. Then set the text size in the rich text editor to 10. Here, we set the label to 13. Copy and paste the interaction to Lost Focus. Then change the value for moving the floating label to 16. Change the rich text size to 13. Add a condition. If the input's text length is 0. Preview the prototype. Click the label. It moves up and becomes smaller. After entering text and losing focus, the text remains the same. After deleting the text and losing focus, the label moves down and becomes larger. Now enter text in the other inputs. Duplicate the page. Change the text to label slot. Delete all elements except the last group. Change the label text to email required. Then modify its text color. Enter text. Select the input. Modify the rich text's text and color. Preview the prototype. Delete the text in the input. After losing focus, the label moves down and changes style. Click the label. The label moves up and changes style. Duplicate the page. Change the page name to No Visible Label. Then delete all elements except the first group and the label in the first group. Duplicate the page. Change the text to clear options. Then delete unnecessary elements. Change the text to Input with clear button. Enter default value in the input. Then drag in a close button. Move it onto the input. Add a set text action. Change the text to empty. Then hide this widget. Select the input and add a text changed interaction. Add a condition. If the text value of this widget is 0, set the text of this to empty. Hide the close button. Else if, show the clear button. Here, we will change show to hide. I made a mistake earlier. Preview the prototype. Click the clear button. The input value becomes empty. When entering text, the clear button is displayed. After clearing the text, the clear button is hidden. If you like my video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel.